Yeah, we'll start without him. It is 6:30. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening. Is there anyone for public input? Nobody? All right, review and approve council agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
I would like to add an item to it if I could.
Isn't it on here?
I'd like to talk about the reopening of our park pavilion. When and how we can do that. I asked that to be on the work session, but it didn't get there.
We had a pretty full work session today.
Don't remember you asking me that, but okay.
All right, we can add that
8A.
under, 8A.
Okay,
Alright.
I'll move to approve as amended.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Consent agenda item. Item A, approve 12/9/2020 council special meeting minutes. Item B, approve 1/4/21 city council meeting minutes. Item C, approve 1/25/21 city council meeting minutes. Item D, approve conditional job offer pathways to policing candidate. Item E, approve landscape coordinator contract. Item F, approve the application process for police officer. Item G, approve 2021 renewal of 2 tobacco license. I guess that's it.
I'd like to pull D.
E like in dog,
D like in dog.
all right. Somebody want to move to approve A, B, C, E, F, G?
So move. Second.
Vic and then Frank.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Mike, item D.
I'd like to approve the hiring of Coy Crawford with the conditions that he completes the 17-week school. I believe it's at Anoka,
Hennepin County.
or Hennepin County, and that he pass and completes the post-board testing.
I'll second.
In that, can you also include the rate of pay, which is what, Dave? $22.50. Can you include that
Okay.
in your
At the rate of pay of $22.50.
I'll
A motion and a second for that?
I'll
Any
second.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Regular agenda items. Item A, preliminary and final plat, Molitor Park Plat 2. If you remember, we did this about a year or so ago, and apparently it,
Yes, sir, we did. It was
A
review.
lot split or something?
It was a small, basic plat from between Rock On and Edinburgh and Molitor. You reviewed it in January 29, but they didn't act on it at that time, so too much time has passed, so it needs to be re-reviewed and reapproved. Basically, it's being done to for the Molitors to buy a small portion of property from Rock On. But the way the property is configured, it can't be done administratively. It does have to be done by actual plat, so it ends up creating a couple lots. The drainage and utility easements were vacated by your action previously, and those still stand, so you don't need to do that again. Nothing has changed. We still would recommend approval of the prelim plat with the recommended payment in lieu of parkland dedication of $14,710. The proposed drainage and utility easements would be expanded to 30-foot total width, 15 feet either side of the boundary, and the rededication of vacated utility easements that were previously done to be reflected on the final plat. We kept those all in here for good measure, but we did view a copy of the final plat, and they're all in place, so it's good to go.
Did we approve it last time?
we did. We did.
I'll move to approve this time.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. And then we have vendor fees for the ledge.
you could. I'll pull it up here in a second.
Okay. I can read it, yeah. All right, so what we're needing to do here, as Meredith is, like Sean and I talked earlier, we're working on all these contracts. Meredith needs to start working on getting vendors' applications out there, and so she is proposing, or through me, to have a $150 approved vendor application contractor fee. And also, we're looking at doing up to 15% for vendor fee commissions. So what I'm asking you tonight, there's also a background fee in here too, but we're not sure if we're gonna use that yet, so we're gonna ask you to approve it in the fee schedule.
What is that 15% approved vendor commission fee?
So if you have a caterer that comes in that's doing a wedding or something like that, or some other type of a venue like that, that we receive 15% of the proceeds from that caterer. And that's a pretty standard thing that we have found throughout the industry, that they will charge some type of a commission fee because they're being able to do it. And so what we're looking at, and what I provided, and I didn't get a lot of chance to talk about it, but the list of the different vendors that we have, we want to make sure that we know who's coming in and out of there. We want to know who's using our facility and how they're using them, so we want to have some type of an approved process. And so that's where some of this stuff comes into play.
Have a contract for them.
Yeah,
Correct.
we would have a contract with that individual so that we know.
Right.
That way then we don't have, if you rent it, you can't just bring anybody and everybody in there. We know then who's using it and using our facilities and our equipment.
Or then you would also would be a clause in there for responsibility?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's all, yep, they have, in certain circumstances, there's going to be requirements for insurance, depending on the type of contract and stuff there is, yes. Yeah, so all of those are going through the attorneys for review. And so these are the way that they had suggested that we just include these fees in. There may be times when criminal background checks and things like that are appropriate, and other times there may not. So it's not necessarily like a one-size-fits-all approach. But it allows us to give some abilities to be able to have that. And so there's not an ordinance that's attached to it, so it's just fees that would be attached to the fee schedule. So we just need you to approve the fees there's no ordinance that you need to amend to do that.
Aren't we artificially driving the price up to use that place with types of things like this, especially the 15% approved vendor commission fee?
It's pretty standard
It's
with
standard,
some of
right?
that kind of thing, and we also have the flexibility, depending on the types of events that they are, to be able to have some abilities to change fees and work on some of those types of things. So we're just asking to have it so that we know that when we have those kinds of things, and this one particularly, I think, applies to more of some of the catering kinds of things that are coming in for some of the larger events. That they're coming in, getting to use it. They're on an approved vendor list. We should be able to collect some type of fee for them to be able to do that. That's a pretty standard thing in the industry.
Right.
From what we have found.
Cover our costs too.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Just that, in the 15% is a pretty standard,
Even in this area.
Yep.
yeah.
And it says
charges?
up to 15%, so let's say that you had a certain vendor that,
Who's charging the 15%?
You've got the River's Edge, and that's something similar that you have at the convention center too. Those are the closest ones in this area that we have to compare to when you're utilizing things like that. Obviously, when you have smaller types of events like that, you may choose not to do some of that, but it depends.
or
Depends on,
nonprofit.
but if you've got some that are larger, that take a lot of our time to coordinate and things like that, you're gonna want that. It's one of the things we're really trying to do is really make that place be able to stand on its own operationally. And the only way that you do that, and yes, you're right, you don't wanna, but you really we have been really cognizant of really trying to find that medium of where that is. And some of it's trial and error. We may come back and say, well, we don't wanna do that anymore, and so we can adjust as we go.
Any questions, council?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, let's see, approve bills.
Move to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. I do have quite a few, actually, thank yous. I have a thank you here from the Salvation Army for the $500 donation we gave them from charitable gambling. I have a thank you from Anna Marie's Alliance for the amount of money we gave them from charitable gambling. I have a thank you from the Paramount Center for the Arts for our contribution of $1,000 to them from charitable gambling. I have a thank you letter from the Initiative Foundation for the money we gave them from our charitable gambling. I have a thank you from Centricare for the $5,000 gift we gave them from charitable gambling. I have a thank you from the Boys and Girls Club for the $2,000 we gave them from charitable gambling. And not charitable gambling, I actually got, it came in the mail today, or I got it today anyway. Comes from the United States Census 2020, thank you. The United States Census Bureau hereby recognizes the City of Waite Park as an invaluable member of the 2020 Census Community Partnership and Engagement Program. We appreciate the efforts you made in making the partnership program a success and helping achieve a successful 2020 census. And John, they even sent you, whoops, they even sent you a T-shirt.
John did a lot of the work on the census stuff on our behalf, so.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Wasn't a very good year for census taking.
All right, that's all I got. Now, let's see, let's do the Park Pavilion first.
Yeah,
I asked, the reason is, I know we closed the Park Pavilion due to the COVID. However, most of the area park pavilions and parks are open. Are we gonna open ours, try to get back to some normal activity in there? I believe it's large enough to meet the governor's minimum or maximum of 250 or 0.5% or half capacity. I think that's gotta get opened back up and let our citizens rent it. Look, there is no reservations on our, website.
we can certainly go back and revisit it. I've been working with Paul Storm on some of that, and I know that we went through the end of the year knowing that that wasn't in the plans, but I'd have to go back. Every event that we have out there, we have to have a COVID plan to be able to show forth of how they're using it, and that because it's our facility. So we'd be happy to, I see Paul's jumping on. Paul, I don't know where we're at specifically on that. And Mike, I don't recall you wanting it on the work session, so I apologize if I forgot. There's a lot that we were trying to cover, so we certainly can have that. But Paul, do you know where we're at with those restrictions? And if not on the fly, that's fine. You and I can visit about that.
Oh,
and
actually,
revisit.
I do.
Oh, good.
Yep, there is an email that you should find. I sent out to you and to a couple of other members. I'll make sure that it actually went out.
Okay.
But there was an update to the orders by the governor. Governor had a most recent executive order, and we are in a position now where there is an opportunity to open up some of those outdoor spaces.
Okay.
The most recent executive order was on February 12. So my email, I want to say, is the 16 or the 17, somewhere close to there, where I just pointed out that what we would need to do, what happened in the executive order is there was an expansion of the privileges, rights, availability of spaces. We had previously been restricted to people that were in the same household, or we were restricted to a number of people around like 10
Right.
for a lot of these functions. Those numbers have been expanded, and also hours have been expanded. So the option to open up the pavilion has become available, but only just recently. What would need to happen, of course, is we would continue to have As you already mentioned, Shauna, we have to have a plan that addresses how to keep track of who is going to use that space and also keep track of how to keep it clean. But we don't have to worry the way that we did previously about whether these are people that are all part of the same household. It's now possible to have an outdoor event with individuals where the only limit is a total number of people. I have that sent off to you, but I will, I'll update that because I think there was another guidance that just came out. It was, frequently asked questions, sort of
Okay.
responses that clarified it. So I'll fulfill it to you again, but we do have that information as of February 12th.
Does that include, you mentioned outdoor, does that include indoor? Because the
Indoor
the
spaces have
pavilion
al-
would be an indoor
Yep,
use. is what-
indoor spaces have also received some new freedom relative to what we've been in under coronavirus. That concept that I mentioned just a moment ago about people not having to be part of the same household, that extends to indoor spaces as well.
Because before, up until the 12th, if I recall, we could only have 10 or fewer and they had to be related, correct?
You're absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This just changed February 12th.
That's kind of funny because last year I attended several activities that was in a surrounding town's park that had probably several hundred people allowed to do it, and they allowed these people to have these in these parks. So what's the difference between those towns and ours?
Towns that did it legally.
I don't even
They
know
weren't
what to tell
checking.
you, Mike.
That's for
I'm,
sure.
That's a simple answer. The towns that,
Yeah.
the towns that are doing it legally
They
and
were
not
overlooking
doing
it.
it legally.
You know, it's an outdoor event, it's.
well, this isn't, we're
No,
not
it's
talking.
not.
Well, I
outdoor,
just
this
want to
is
see that we
indoor.
get this pavilion open back up. We got to get some normalcy back, let people do
can only-
some things that,
We don't disagree with you, Mike, but we gotta do it by what the governor says, what the statute or what the law is saying now. We're not gonna get our butts in trouble because somebody thinks we should open it up. We're gonna do it when we can do it, and now it sounds like we can do it.
well, then let's get working on it so we can get it open.
He is, you just heard him say that.
Yep.
Thank you,
And
Paul.
we may have to raise our fees if we have to,
Do
if we have to have
special
Service Master come in and decontaminate that after every use, we may have to raise our fees for what Service Master or whoever that is comes in and sanitizes it.
That's right.
COVID, there is a little bit of work into the COVID plan. I'm not gonna, we have some of those that we can use, but we will have to go through that, and I'll work with Paul on trying to get that stuff completed. But he and I have been working closely on the facilities, and so I take the direction, and he gives me the legal opinions on it, and so that's what I'm basing it off of, so.
All right, anything else on that? All right, Shauna, you have anything?
I don't.
Oh, all
I
right,
know, I can't.
where we at? John, you got anything? Bill? John? Chief? Carla? All right, we are adjourned at 6:50.
Thank you.